Hey, what's up viewers? TK here and you're watching the ShoddyCast channel. Today is Wednesday, which means it is time for a build of the week. Alright, so as I mentioned last week, I was gonna play a great sword. I guess it was just a great sword warrior. I can't even remember what my other weapon swap was gonna be. But, oh, I remember now. It was a great sword and axe with shield combo. It turned out that build was terrible, quite frankly. The survivability was just horrendous, and I found myself just being completely frustrated the whole time. I was completely getting wiped by pretty much anything, and I wasn't enjoying it, so I thought it'd be better off if I just scrapped that and went for something else. So I came up with a build based off of another player that I was actually fighting against. It was a warrior using a rifle and hammer combo. So I was fighting this person with my necro, and I noticed that this person had some crazy crowd control. I was actually very impressed by the amount of crowd control this person has. He had a fear, he had several knockdowns, pushbacks, and I was just wondering, what the heck is he using? He's got to be traded up or something like that. But then I looked at the skills of the rifle and hammer combo. Of course, I knew the hammer had, plenty of knockdowns. I didn't realize I had a stun and a knockdown on top of the stun from the burst skill. So I was really impressed by that. And then I saw on the rifle that it had its own knockdown ability, or knockback ability actually. So I thought that would be just an amazing combo to use. So I looked it up. I went through all the traits, seeing which would be best. And I ended up finding a build that I liked using, so I went ahead and tried it out. I've been sick this week, though. I don't know if you can tell. Even now, I'm still getting over it. So, needless to say, I did not play as much as I wanted to this week. But I still got, a feeling for the build. And I feel like I do have an accurate rating for this week's build. So I went ahead and made the video for you guys. So I guess I'll just get down to it, and then I'll explain a little bit of why I gave the choices that I did for the rating this week. So let's start. Starting with survivability, I gave it a 4.5. I felt that with all the pushbacks, the knockdowns, the stuns, it had an incredible chance to survive against even multiple foes. I probably don't have the best videos to show all that, but especially one-on-one, you're very likely to survive the fight, even if you can't kill the person, which I'll get into later. But yeah, you do have excellent survivability. You are able to get out of there. On top of the fear that you have, you will definitely have a chance to get out if things are not going your way. If you see multiple people coming in when you're trying to cap a point, you will be able to get out of there, unless you're just completely stun locked, but that's very unlikely to happen. For mobility, I gave it a 4. It's a basic thing. Most builds I'm going to give around a 4 for mobility, unless you just have to stand still to do anything. You're able to move. With rifle, you're going to be moving anyways until they get into range, so just naturally you're going to be moving around a lot until you switch into hammer. Then you're going to want to stick with your foe, obviously, for range. Damage, I gave it a 3. That is pretty low, and it does deserve a 3, nothing more, because I having to go into toughness and things like that. I tried buffing it with power as much as I could, but it does not have the damage that you would expect from a warrior using a great sword or anything like that, because they do massive spike damage. This was more sustainable damage, and there was a little bit of condition, mostly bleeding, through the rifle's main ability. But the damage it wasn't there. This is definitely more of a support class than a Zerger or a burst damage build by far. So you're better off going in with groups of other players, so you can basically just keep the foes down while everyone else is DPSing. So you're definitely not a solo character at all. So don't expect that out of this build. Ease of use, I gave it a 3.5. It took a little getting used to, just because I'm not, personally I'm not used to switching between weapons so often. which you will have to do with this build since you are switching from a ranged weapon to a melee weapon. But it's still a fairly easy build to use once you get used to the skills. And then replay value, I gave it a 4. It was pretty fun to use. I enjoyed it. I loved knocking people down and just basically keeping them stun locked. But again, the damage wasn't there. I wanted more damage out of it, so it wasn't as fun as it could have been. I would have given it a 4.5, maybe even a 5 if the damage was just a little bit higher. But that is pretty much the rating for this week. So to recap, survivability was a 4.5, mobility was a 4, damage gave it a 3, ease of use a 3.5, and replay value a 4. That gives us this week's build of the week a rating of 3.8. Overall, not a bad score, definitely fair. It is a support character, so remember that. If you're into burst damage, definitely go with Greatsword. That's definitely going to be your weapon of choice for the warrior. But if you are into support classes, if you like running with other characters and basically keeping other people under control so they can DPS them, then definitely go with this build, and I definitely think you will enjoy it, and I have definitely said definitely way too many times. And yeah, that's it for this build of the week. And I will now tell you what next week's build of the week is going to consist of. It is a ranger this time. I am going with a very classic longbow greatsword build. I'm going to have a bit of survivability with, what's that? Lightning reflexes? Yeah. And I'm going to be using cat companions for their massive DPS. They have a lot of crit, so they will definitely be good for DPS. I am going to be very crit heavy, so this should be a really fun build. I'm really looking forward to using it, much more than the warrior, I think. I've used this build previously before, so I know that it is going to be a pretty good build out there. I haven't used it since beta though, so we'll see how it's changed since release. So that will be it for this week's build of the week. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, go ahead and like it for us, and all subscriptions we do greatly appreciate. Stay tuned. Every week I will be having this build of the week, hopefully every Wednesday, if not a day or two before or after. But I'm going to be trying to stay at every Wednesday. And stay tuned for our other PvP and PvE videos. We'll be doing some Let's Plays in dungeons. We'll have that up hopefully this week. We'll also be doing jumping puzzle races, hopefully, if this works out. It hasn't been working out so far. It's either been me or my brother way ahead of the other person. It just has not been working out. So hopefully that'll work. But until then, this has been TK for the ShoddyCast channel. Please like and subscribe, and we'll catch you later.